Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Evil Dragon XXL. Welcome back for another season. It's been a while. It's been about a month since I've last commentated properly, so I might be a bit rusty. But again, GT3 Season 16, it's go! And joining me again this season, the one, the only, the beautiful Jess game. Hello, Jess. Welcome back to my humble abode.
Hello, Evil. It's great to be back with GT3. I missed a bit of Project Cars 2 commentary for a while now, and it's great to commentate on the potential final season on Project Cars 2 and AOR. And the grid has changed with only a few drivers returning from last season, some new drivers as well, and some drivers promoting from Tier 2, but we'll go through that in a minute. And a fantastic calendar full of races as well, Evil.
Indeed, a calendar made by me, Jazzman, and also VSR, well, former VSR Road 2, now known as Rotary, as I will always call him, SMM, of course. We'll get into that team later on, because I made a nice introduction for all the drivers, but we'll go that in just a few moments' time, Jess. But, of course, calendar, which you'll go through just in a moment's time as well. 10 races as per usual, 2 races with the sprinting feature, so they return from last season. Right now, at sunny Daytona.
Yes, Daytona Road Course has hosted the 24 Hours of Daytona in the winter time as well, which is pretty good, I've got to say the least. And it's not like the Daytona Speedway where it's a full oval. It's a 3.8 mile road course which was built in 1959. We'll go through more of that in a minute. It first hosted the Daytona Continental Race in 1962, and there was some slight changes. In 1973, a sharp chicane was added at the end of the backstretch, and then turns 1 and 2 was changed, and then in 2003 the chicane was modified once again, but to the circuit that we all grown and love. But we'll talk more about that when the hot lap is played later on.
Indeed. Of course, circuit, famous. Daytona Beach, it originally was, back in the 1930s. Moonshiners back there, that's where the same place where NASCAR was first formed. This is a circuit pristine in history, Jess.
Yeah, it is a track that I really enjoyed commentating on as well, and I really enjoy watching in iRacing and Project Cars 2 as well, so I'm very excited. But shall we go through all the drivers that are going to take part this season, Evil?
I think we should, because I think someone, I don't know who possibly did that, made a nice driver's introduction.
I wonder who that could be. It's our very lovely Mr. Evil Dragon XXL, who's done all the voiceovers for you, so I don't need to do an introduction on the team joke. Anyway, here is all the teams and drivers taking part this season.
Long-time friend SMM Rotary, now a driver for Sidemax Motorworks, after departing from Visceral Racing, teams up with former racing driver Vectro666 for the GT3 Season 16. Both drivers have raced one another for over 4 years. We're even racing each other on Gran Turismo 6. A very healthy friendship, which has provided helpful when it comes to practice and communication. Both drivers aim to finish consistently and extract the best performance out of their car. Of choice, the Porsche 911 GT3. Both Rotary and Vectro are very confident with the car and believe it's capable of even challenging for podiums from the very start of the season at Daytona. Jazzman and Tinnis return once again for another season of GT3. Piloting the ever-fast and reliable Lamborghini Huracan GT3, Season 15 was a real thorn in the side for both drivers, as the inconsistent conditions wreaked havoc in some of the events, and some unfortunate incidents during certain races also made big impacts in the championship. With last season's champions no longer participating, the doors of opportunity have flung open for both Jazzman and Tinnis, as they aim to be the team's champion, and Jazzman looks to achieve 6 wins in Season 16, putting his win total up to 40. Though it will be no easy task. Archer returns for another season in GT3. After joining halfway through in Season 15, it was an absolute rollercoaster for the Georgian driver, with a bunch of DNFs to begin with, but then an absolutely dominant win in the Season 15 finale at Indianapolis in the Lamborghini Huracan. With Archer being a competitor in the 2020 Logitech McLaren GE Challenge, he has chosen the McLaren 650S GT3 in an effort to get used to the car as he makes his challenge for the quarterfinals. Can Archer take this underdog car and turn it into a championship-winning car? Only time will tell. Giacomo and Slicker team up for the first adventure into Tier 1. Both former Tier 2 drivers, now having been promoted up, they are very consistent and prove to be formidable opponents, with both drivers being GT3 champions, Slicker being a 2-time champion and Giacomo being champion back in Season 9. As always, they stick with the Ferrari 488, which has served them both well for plenty of races. And with its turbocharged V8 engine, it will be a very competitive, at not only fast circuits like Daytona, but the high altitude tracks such as Bathurst. Fren makes his return to Tier 1 since Season 13. Once again driving the beautiful 63 Scuderia Corsa 48 GT3, in Season 13, Fren had a solid season, with some very competitive showings, which is more than likely going to motivate him this season, as the track and calendar for Season 16 has allowed a shake-up in the manufactured choices, making more than 50% of the GT3 manufacturers and Project Cars 2 a feasible choice. Where will he finish? We'll find out at Round 1. BKT once again returns to Tier 1 in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3. Season 15 for BKT was a season to forget, with the tricky and inconsistent conditions making racing difficult and often left a lot to be desired. Currently in testing ahead of Round 1 at Daytona, Big Kid Daddy has already been able to push his car and finally being able to drive the car properly, which will have only motivated him and will definitely mean we can see Big Kid Daddy challenging towards the front of the field once again. Essa is back for Season 16. Driving the Porsche 911 GT3, Season 15 was a nightmare and one to forget for Essa, as he struggled all season with a car that was constantly changing around him and could not prove his full potential. He felt there was something clearly wrong last season. Now he is looking to prove what he is capable of and will be the one to watch for in the midfield. Daniel Sinclair makes his AOR Tier 1 debut in the Audi R8 LMS. The Scotsman placed 6th overall in the AOR time trials, just a few places behind the other drivers, such as Overtaker and Every Person. As a rookie in Tier 1, it's likely for the first few rounds could be a learning curve for Darren Sinclair, but he could certainly spring up the few surprises as the season progresses. Tierogard, also nicknamed Lundov, makes his way into Tier 1 for Season 16. The Italian driver placed 2nd position in the time trial, only 0.4 seconds off of Vectro. Driving the Mercedes AMG GT3, it's likely Lundov will be one to watch for at Daytona. The high-speed nature of the circuit will suit the Mercedes, and as a quick car, we should be able to see it right up the front for the first couple of races. Every Person joins Tier 1 for the first time, driving the McLaren 650S GT3 again. He is one of those drivers who excelled in the phases leading up to the driver placement, as he puts himself P3 overall in the time trial, though he was over half a second off of Lundov. The midfield is already quite competitive as it is. The question is, where will every person come out in the top, mid or bottom of this midfield battle? We can only find out during this season. And Davey's Out makes his debut in AOR GT3 Tier 1, in a car that was last used in Season 13, the Bentley Continental GT3 Endurance spec. Both car and driver take a dark horse approach, with little to no stats or time suggesting Davey's Out's pace in Tier 1. But we expect him to be mixing it in with the veteran drivers and also the new ones coming up as well. The Continental GT3, being a twin-turbo V8, should be quite competitive at Bathurst, where the Continental placed 5th place in the mountain back in Season 13. Not only that, it will be easily recognised by its thunderous roar and the godly shape, providing quite the spectacle in GT3 racing. Dust Rivers Out 101, like many others in Tier 1, has reached his debut in GT3, driving the beautiful blue and yellow Black Falcon Mercedes AMG GT3. being the second of only 2 Mercedes of the field, there isn't a lot of drivers to feed off in the same machinery, making it quite the challenge to find more pace for all we know Zout may be another one of those dark horses in a formidable car that has been dominant in AOR for over 2 years. From reserve to full-time racer, Overtaker 99 has a lot of potential coming from the Reserve Championship last season. Despite only taking part in 2 races, he did achieve a win at Dubai Autodrome, which was more than enough to get into Tier 1. Driving the Ferrari 488 GT3, which is a jack of all trades, it's entirely possible Overtaking could build upon his last win last season and duke it out with the more experienced drivers in Tier 1 this season.
Hello, my name's SSM_Rotary and I'm going to take a lap around Daytona International Speedway. So, going down into turn 1 off the tri-oval with straight line braking, trying to keep the car from rotating around. Now through out the exit, bringing it all the way over to the right so we can straight line this S section as much as we can, so we're carrying as much speed through there as possible. Into an international horseshoe, I like to keep it tight to the right hand curb there. Allows us to use all this track on the left hand side to really open up the taps and get this flat 6 engine in the Porsche really going. Now through the infield, through this left hand king, very fast corner at about 230 kph sometimes, into this second horseshoe corner. You can see I'm going to get on the power a little bit too early and the rear end kicks out a little bit. That's a very characteristic of the Porsche there, it likes to kick out a lot. Now into this left hand corner, it's very crucial we get this corner right, no oversteer here because this leads straight onto the banking. This is partly one of the fastest parts of the circuit this, so we've got to really maximise the exit here. This is where the Porsche really now starts to stretch its legs and climb some really competitive speeds, probably some of the fastest speeds in GT3, even faster than Mercedes I'd say. About 286 kph is the best I've gotten out of the Porsche. Now coming into the bus stop chicane, very crucial we get this right. We can lose a lot of time here, even worse, smack the tyre barrier at the left hand side. See the cars bouncing around all over the place, using all the curves. Likes to oversteer a lot there through the bus stop chicane, but we nail it perfectly, well nearly perfectly anyways. Now through bankings 3 and 4, keeping it hugged to the apron, shortening the distance of the corner, so we're getting those few extra tenths of a second. Now coming down towards the tri-oval, what's it going to be? It's going to be a 42.9, and that is a lap of Daytona International Speedway.
And welcome everybody back to the live feed. Thank you for sorry, I almost called it VSR Rotary. Sorry, SMM Rotary. For that beautiful hot lap. Right now we're in qualifying. We've got 7 minutes, well 8 minutes to remain technically. Looking at Davies out, he's coming in the pit lane in the number 37 Bentley. Had a few spins just as we were watching, so struggling in a car that is what we can only be called massive. The big wing, big car, of course. Ethan drove a very big car last season. He was driving the BMW M6 before changing very late on as well. So, a lot of drivers making a few mistakes right now, but it is so far Jazzman in the Lamborghini Huracan on pole position, well, provisional pole so far. That is his teammate coming out the pit lane. Londoff in second position in the Mercedes AMG. Good lap for the new guy. Then we got Tennis only 2 tenths off. Big gap down to SMM Rotary. And then we got BKD. Vectra there, a very impressive 6th so far. However, 1.2 seconds off of the pace right now. Esser, he's currently in 7th. Porsche's looking strong, ahead of the Ferrari there of Pren. The first of 3 different Ferraris so far. That was Zout going into the pit lane. He made a spin. We have damage, it looks like, for every person then. And he's got damage on the front and right of that car. Then we've got Chicano. He's so far in the number 53 Cup and then position, not doing too bad. Ahead of his teammate, RS Slicker. Darren Sinclair, 13th, the Scotsman so far in his debut in Tier 1. He's going to be hoping to come through the field. And Davey Zout struggling quite badly in that Bentley, Jess.
Yeah, but obviously there's quite a few new guys, as you said, in the team's video that maybe need to find a little bit of their footing to start with, but that's okay. Maybe being in a higher tier than expected could help them because they've got some experienced drivers like Jazzman, like Tinnis, for example, and like Archel, but Archel's not here tonight, and neither is Overtake. So, you know, they've got experience to learn from. Maybe sometime in the future, in future seasons, in either in any Project Cars games or ACC or something like that, then they could be at the top of the timing sheets. Just like Jazzman has just shown, almost into the 142s. Not quite, but he's going to get there for sure with 5 minutes left to go.
Indeed. Well, I mean, anything could possibly happen here. We've got to say, though, for Archie, he is going for the quarterfinals in the, of course, the McLaren Logitech G Challenge, of course. So we do wish him all the best in that one. Fortunately, he cannot be here tonight for whatever reason. So hope everything is okay there in a world which has changed ever so slightly since we were last there. I mean, it's got warmer. It's currently 27 degrees down here in the south. It's cooled off a little bit. There's a very hefty thunderstorm on the way as there goes every person past in that damaged McLaren.
Yeah, indeed. And obviously damage is on for these drivers, for those of you that are new as well. So it could have an effect on some of these drivers as well. And I think this will give us a perfect opportunity whilst everyone's on a lap to go through the calendar. Well, I did have a calendar to show on screen, but we're not going to have time to do that. So I'm just going to go through it in detail now whilst we're riding on board with quite a few people. So obviously we're in Daytona tonight. Qualifying is during the day when qualifying should happen in the 24-hour, with the race being an hour later. Next week we go to Bathurst, and the progression there, time progression, is going to be based on the real life 12 hours, so you'll see the same time progression there. That will be next week. And on the 20th of August we go to COTA, which will be the first sprint and feature race. Then we go to Long Beach on the 2nd of September. Then we go to our first 90-minute race on the 9th of September in the Red Bull Ring in Austria, one of my favourite circuits, to death. The 16th of September, then we go to Zolder, which is another sprint race. Then we go to the home of AOR, the home of British Motorsport, Silverstone. Then our next endurance race in Spa. Then the final 2 rounds of Sugo and Fuji. And after Fuji, we will know who is our season 16 champion. And since none of our team or drivers' champions is here tonight, we will definitely have a new drivers and teams champion for season 16.
Yeah, maybe finally a Mercedes won't win it. They've won it pretty much every championship for the last 2 years. Could this season be a change? Well, so far Londoff, who is the man possibly trying to do that, we're looking at the time screen, that 36 thousandths of a second separate the top 2 drivers, that of Jazzman and SMM Rotary, or we'll just call him Ethan for short. Londoff in third, 0.3 seconds behind. He's just ahead of Tinner so far. He comes out of the first real banking on this circuit, down towards the chicane. Built, like I said, in the 70s, used to be a little more sharper than that, of course, refined over the years, over the decades. This circuit, relatively, has gone through very minor changes. Real main changes, the hairpin down towards, of course, the first major hairpin. Used to be a lot longer. You can't see it, of course. It's still there, the original hairpin. You just have to look for it, and you know where it is. Of course, and the International Horseshoe has remained the same ever since its inception back in 1950s. Like I said, though, earlier on, this circuit, based on Daytona Beach. One of the most historical circuits in America by its pure values, due to the NASCAR series, of course, debuting in 1948. Its first ever race was here on Daytona Beach, a 500-mile race. Of course, that is where the famous Daytona 500 comes from. A tradition that has been on course every single year since the 1948 season, without failure. Hopefully there'll be many more of them. Of course, the 24 Hours of Le Mans as well took place earlier this year. 24 Hours of Le Mans, 24 Hours of Daytona, 24 Hours of Le Mans is yet to take place this year.
Get your facts, Evil.
This month. Next month. Take place next month. It's hot. Let me off.
Oh, yeah, well, you're forgiven.
Jazzman, so far, P1. Rotary, 6 times out on that lap time. He's got to get a move on, though. If he wants to get pole, however, even if he's on second place, an incredible position for him. Vettel as well. He's only in 7th place. He's giving a nice tow, however. That's to one of the Ferraris. I think that might be, is it Pren? It is Pren. So Pren getting a nice tow off the back of it. And that Ferrari, nice see. He might jump up about 6th position. He's got an incredibly good tow. I expect him maybe, no, with 8 seconds down. So he's just trying to get a tow off of Vettel down towards turn number 1. So let's see what they can do. Rear end of the Ferrari stepping out. Rear end of the Porsche stepping out on their flying laps as well. 1 minute to go. both the top two in the pit lane, so it confirms to me, Jess, that, well, unless Londorf or Tinnis can get a biblical lap out, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything. Let's see Tinnis, but I think it'll be the first to cross the line. Londorf, I think, maybe just ahead of him. We'll have a look. No, in the pit lane comes Tinnis then, so he's bared out his lap time, so it's all down to Londorf. Anyone else up there in the back of the circuit, we wonder. We've got every person in the McLaren. He's coming through the last corners as well. We've got Zout in the Zoot in the Mercedes. Down there in 11th position on a circuit, which very much favours the Mercedes. Incredible to see the downfall of a Mercedes car. Finally, everyone's decided to change it, and he's not. He's down in 11th. He'll stay there. He's got one more lap, however. So it's not all over yet. He'll be, I think, with the first car. Well, he won't be doing another lap if he does that, and that's going to be that lap well and truly ruined and into the wall as well. Unfortunately for him, Slicker on the lap as well. So we have a look now. Who is on the lap? We've got Fren and Vectro through the bus stop chicane. They come then. Vectro very wide. That might have invalidated his lap time potentially. It does invalidate his lap time as well. So all down now to Pren. Let's see what he can do. Yep. Drivers coming into the pit lane, Jess. So let's see. Number 63, Scuria Corsa AF Ferrari then. The Maranello team, let's see, 8th position so far. Not too bad for a car that very much is not the quickest thing around this circuit. Can he go any quicker? No, he does not. He stays 8th position. We're waiting now down to see who else to finish a lap. We've got Slicker. I think Bicardari, he's finished his lap. We've got Londos finished his lap. So we're just having a look to see who else finished their lap times. I think it's Evie potentially.
Every.
Yeah, Evie, I'm now calling him. I've shortened his name. It's now Evie person.
Yeah, every person not doing too bad either. And I mean, I'm surprised a few people haven't gone out for final laps, because that is where the track is going to be at its quickest, obviously due to the track rubbing in as much. But this could be every person's opportunity to climb up the field right now. So I think he is probably lucky that he's gone there. He's got some clear air as well, but looks like he's going to the pit. So that is qualifying done. And that's everyone's qualifying done. And we're seeing Jazzman on pole.
Jazzman then takes his first pole position this season, because it is the first race, of course, of the season. The South African driver on top today by only 36 hundredths of a second low. The Porsches, they're quick today. Londorf in the Mercedes. So, 3 different manufacturers top the top 3. Then comes double Lamborghini trouble. Then comes double Porsche trouble. Then comes Ferrari, McLaren, Ferrari. Then comes the second of the Mercedes and the third Ferrari of the field. The Audi down the back there in 30th position. And Zout down there in 14th position. 3.7 seconds off the pace. However, the Bentley, we're not expecting to do too well here at Daytona, for the reasons of it's very big, it's very heavy, and this circuit you really need to be very streamlined.
Exactly, but to be honest, is it some of these cars may not be suited to all the tracks, so maybe for some of these guys they might have chosen it for one track in particular. So Daytona may just be a warm-up track for some of them, but for the likes of Jazzman, he wants to go for the win and continue where he left off last season and have less shaky starts. He wants to have a really good start to what he did in season 14, but just not have a shaky middle and shaky end. If he has the same consistency to what he had at the start of season 14 2 seasons ago, then he's definitely going to be in good stead to be one of the favourites for the championship. And as always, it's going to be a rolling start, but due to the flavour of Daytona, the game is going to make it a standing start. But as soon as the standing start happens, they will be expecting to go into the AOR rolling start. So if you see the lights of people just going really fast, then that's probably why.
Indeed, of course. Daytona forces a rolling start no matter what you do, of course. So there will not be one at a time. They'll all be off the road straight away. Now, last season, well, the last time they came here, season 13, a lot of drivers recorded penalties due to jump starts. This might happen again today. So they've been told if it does happen, do take it to stewards. They will remove any penalties for this formation lap as long as they can prove evidence that it has happened. And below, rolling starts can also involve damage. Let's hope no one does get any damage. 14 drivers. 6 different manufacturers, if I'm not too mistaken. We've got Lamborghini, Porsche, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Bentley, and Audi.
7.
All different manufacturers, and here we go then to roll to the formation. Happened immediately. A few drivers getting themselves caught out in position. However, we're just getting ready to go then, so 5 lights might come on. However, just wait those few seconds as the rolling start procedure now begins then here at Daytona. 14 drivers. Beautiful circuit. The time currently in game, I think it's about 3 p.m.
3 p.m. Yeah.
Will become nighttime as this race goes on. Time progression is on, so it will get darker, and I believe it might even go through almost a full 24 hours cycle as well. I'm not too certain exactly if it does that, but however, anything here can happen. A circuit which often provides close racing. Sometimes it can provide very spread out races like when we saw in season 13 with all of the Mercedes running away. It'll be interesting to see what Londoff and his teammate can do down, well, his fellow comrade can do down the back of Zout in the other Mercedes. Then the blue Falcon, or the black Falcon livery, and it's a blue Falcon because it's a blue car. Car even ran a few seasons ago as well. Very ominous blue standing out Mercedes. A lot of livery standing out. The bright yellow and blue of the Ferrari as well. Up front, though, the familiar faces, the familiar driver, Jazzman. A man who didn't have the best season last year. Well, last season, might we say, not last year, it was this year, but last season. He admits it as well. It could have gone better. Now, is this season redemption? Storms are inbound in the UK below us. If we do see any disconnections, that might be the cause of likes of Ethan, Bicky Daddy, even a few others as well. These conditions out there in real life, very humid, very hot, so hopefully everyone is going well. Though I say that Jazzman, who lives in Qatar, might I say, probably wondering why these guys are thinking that too hot. I live in about 80 million degrees. So, let's go then, Jess, and who do you think could be the winner today?
Always going to be a close one, but I think I would have to say Jazzman potentially is going to be the favourite, but I'm not counting out a few other drivers as well. The one that's impressing me is Londoff in 3rd place. He could be a dark horse this season, and he could be the one that can upset this season quite a bit. So I'm very impressed to see him down in P3 at the moment. And he deserves to be in Tier 1, and he's definitely showing it already in the first race, and we haven't even started yet.
Indeed. Well, let's get ready to go then. 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, all the way down then. 14 drivers. 16 will be starting this season, of course, but 2 are not here. The 16th and potentially final season of AOR, my 9th in a row. Who will be champion this season? Who will win the first race? And it's underway then. Good start immediately from Jazzman. Good start there for Ethan as well. The rest coming through on the outside. Tinnis already getting a good start as well. Through the rest of the field, I think Vetro stays in 7th. A few positions up there at 8th and 9th. But I think Jazzman up there in the lead of this race then. Through turn 1 they come then. Rotary, Londoff up into 3rd. Tinnis trying around the outside and 4th. Going on the grass. Almost losing it there. Keeps it on the road there. Esther in 5th. Bicky Daddy, stonking start for him up to 6th. Vetro on the outside in 7th. Almost caught down one of the Ferraris. That's Friend as well. Coming through in the field. Everyone a good start, however. They're side by side. Pren on the outside. Vetro on the inside then. To come down to the kink at about 190 kilometers an hour. Then Pren having to back out of it there. And a good start for him. The McLaren's looking comfortable as well. Down there in 9th position. 1, 2, 3 cones getting full up there. That is out, I think. Chicana going very wide there in the AF Corsa Ferrari. Number 53. Very wide. Good start as well from Davey Zout. He's up a few positions. Down in 13th position. But he's overtaken Darren Sinclair in the Audi. But up front, Jazzman leads. Rotary in 2nd. Londoff up to 3rd. And then a bit of a gap already down to Tinnis, Jazz.
The gaps are starting to fall pretty quickly, and we can already see who has been the most experienced drivers up there near the front and who's falling behind a little bit. But again, it's the first race. But Big Kid Daddy is trying to go for a move already, but he can't get the cutback he needs. We also got Vetro, Ethan's teammate, right behind them as well. So pretty much rivals here. Obviously, Pren and Vetro were racing in the Formula Rookie League, which took place not too long ago. as Vecchio's getting a very good line, actually. But there we go.
To lead this race. Let's see. He's going to switch to the outside. Lamborghini versus Porsche. We've not seen Porsche running this fast for a very long time. And Ethan trying to make a move around the outside. He won't do it there. Jazzman late on the brakes, but has he gone too deep? I think he's just about got it stopped there. So Jazzman, very late on the brakes, stops the car perfectly in the background. I think Vector's got ahead of all of them. Vector up to 5th, stonking moves from the Dutchman as he now finds himself up there in a high 5th position. Extra down in 9th. So he's gone and made a mistake there. Friend Beaky Daddy as well. Vector, though, absolutely on the limit. But here comes Beaky Daddy now again, second time of answering, trying to go around the outside. Vector giving him no opportunity to go wide there. Vector holding that line. Bit of the rear end going out there. And there we go. Fix about the inside line. Here comes Beaky Daddy. But the inside line now will go to Vector. But Beaky Daddy's got the better line. The Lamborghini exit speed we always knows very good at the start of these races. And he's already putting it to good use. Beaky Daddy up to 5th. Goes a little bit wide. The Porsche very, very quick this race, Jess.
Yeah, it seems like it at the moment. Obviously, Ethan was in a different car compared to last season, as well as Vetro. Both admitted that it wasn't the cars that they were hoping for, so maybe the Porsche suits this calendar a bit more, and perhaps they made the right decision. And Ethan's looking very hungry already. Like, the two Porsche guys are doing brilliantly. They're working well together, as it seems, as well. Obviously, Vetro dropping down to 6th with Big Kid Daddy making the move, so, but it's not far from over from Vetro. This is, you'll still take him being P6 at the moment because he was lower down, so.
Car going off there. Is that Davies out or is that's every person going up? I think it is. So that's gone around. Meanwhile, here we go. Round number 2 then. Around the outside. Has Ethan got the line? I think he's slightly ahead. Jazzman, though, just holding that inside line. Now, there's nothing Ethan could do. He can't go around the outside very easily. He's going to be very brave to break around the outside. He's going to try around the outside, but no way through that. The only place he can do, he's going to have to try and unsettle him down into the International Horseshoe. But look behind Jazz. Londorf closing right up on these guys. Ethan, I think he's got a way more pace. He's having a look up the inside. He's going through into the lead. Here comes Rotary then. Through he comes. Forces him wide. Bang, bang, bang. Forces him off the road nearly. Jazzman flash the line. What are you doing, he said. I am on the circuit. I want that position. But Ethan has none of it. Leading in the Porsche. Jazzman trying to come back round the outside. These two know that Mercedes is going to be all over them if they're not too careful. The car, which has got even higher top speed, but Rotary finally takes the lead of a race for the first time in a while. He's not won a GT3 race, if I'm not too mistaken. He's won official AOR races. He's not won an actual race in this season. Season 16, I think the 6th season he's been in, 5 seasons, if I'm not too mistaken. But here's the Lamborghini trying to go back around the outside. Let's see now, where is he even going to position this car? Lamborghini versus Porsche, and now he's Jazzman. Going to try and launch one down the inside in towards the chicane. He thinks about it. He lines it up. Even there on the outside. He can't, if they're not too careful. They just about all get away with it. 1, 2, 3 cars then. Behind them, Londoff. Just on board we go with him then. He's just sitting back, waiting his time. We're already, look at Ethan. He's trying to pull a bit of a gap on the corners. But Lamborghini, he will come back at him. We know he's got a good grunt. The sled trim around here is going to be incredibly strong. So let's see. Ethan's going to have to cover the inside line. But here comes the Lamborghini then. Back round the outside. Round number 3. Ethan trying to give him a bit of a squeeze, trying to push him all the way up to the top. He goes then. 1, 2, 3 cars, 3 different manufacturers, and Jazzman right round the outside. Has Rotary got the inside line still though? I think he just about does. Yes, it is. Roll reversal from last time then. And this time Ethan just squeezing him out ever so slightly. Now he'll cover the inside line, not giving any opportunity to force him round the outside, and then try and make a mistake. Londoff looking up the inside as well. These 3 drivers just pushing each other to the absolute limit. We're only in that far. We've still got 30 laps to go.
A great start to the season already for these top 3 guys. Maybe they could be top 3 in the championship. You'll never know. Londoff, this is his first race in a Tier 1 in the Mercedes. He's going to have better straight line speed once we head near the bus stop and into the oval section of the circuit. You can see a lovely helicopter view of the circuit as well as all 3 of the cars prancing around the circuit. But we also got the likes of Tinnis and Big Kid Daddy potentially could close in. Maybe Tinnis actually, not Big Kid Daddy. So Tinnis can watch out for these guys if they're not careful, because the more these guys are stuck in this train, the more the guys behind can say, you know what, I could gain positions that you guys have lost. But here we go. Jazzman and Londoff are both going to try and go for the move. It's almost going to be 3 wide by the looks of it. Jazzman's gone off. Jazzman's gone off. That's not good for him. that's going to help Ethan quite a bit here as they're going running side by side into the oval section. Londoff, yeah, they will get a penalty, and Londoff is running in tandem at the moment. He's going to probably try and take the hardest line possible. He's going to be right in the middle of them on the right-hand side. Here he goes.
Careful. He covers it well. He's covering it well. They're going to give each other bum jobs. Jazzman had kilos off. He got the penalty. Surely he's going to try and make a move around the outside. He's gone too deep. Surely he's gone way too deep off the road. He has gone off the road. He must be careful of Jazzman there rejoining it as well. Leads to getting very, 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 very close down the exit. But Jazzman, I'm surprised he does not get a penalty. I think he might. I've got a penalty, actually. He has. So, penalty for Jazzman then. So he's been a little bit of a naughty boy. Very wide there in the background. That is Tinnis closing all up on the there. But I thought maybe he might get a penalty for that one. He does get a penalty for that one. So, that is not what Jazzman needed.
No, especially, obviously, Jazzman wanted to be a clean driver this season, but mistakes like that is going to cost you. And Londoff almost made a mistake, which almost got him a penalty as well. So maybe Ethan is the one that's pressuring both of these guys to make a mistake, and that is what you want to do as a driver. So Ethan doing a great job pressurizing these drivers. Obviously, Ethan's going to be the one with the most pressure, but he wants to give some pressure to the guys around, and obviously as well, Vetro is still in 6th place and still chasing after Big Kid Daddy. You also got some battles in the midfield as well coming, as you can see in a helicopter shot as well. We got Davy Zoot on a charge as well, ahead of, well, behind the McLaren by the looks of it as well, again going into the little banking as well. So it's not just the guys up front we got to watch out for, it's the guys in the midfield too.
Indeed, everyone very close together. Meanwhile, Lesser and Pren, these two always have good battles in previous seasons. I've seen these two all together many times. Vetro, he's in 6th position so far. He's not too far out behind Big Kid Daddy, but up front we still go. Ethan versus Londoff. I think we're going to be like this throughout the entire race. Londoff, again, trying to position himself around the outside. Now, Ethan, all he has to do is just keep the inside line here, because Londoff is not going to go flying around the outside, because it's just really not possible around the outside. So, Ethan, he can just try and control the pace. He needs to just try and break that toe. Maybe try and get these guys to battle. If that happens, that's going to help him. Londoff trying to send it down the inside. Ethan rise of that one, running himself a bit wide to get more traction on the exit. But, and there we go. Penalty for Ethan as well. Now, I believe that'll be a 2-second time penalty.
Same as Jazzman.
Track limit. So he's gone off somewhere and he had to pick a penalty. So right now Londoff leads this race. Jazzman all over the back of him, trying to pressurize as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Vetro's only 4.5 seconds off the pace. Even a little bit of a lock up there on the rear left tyre. Incredibly impressive from these top 6 drivers, all very close together. Bit of a gap down, 7th, 8th, 9th position will start to open up as well. No major incidents, bar I think we saw every person spinning off earlier on in this race. He's so far in 13th position, holding on towards the Audi and that Bentley as well. Meanwhile, back to the battle up front though. It is Londoff, Jazzman, and Ethan. Top 3 drivers in almost reverse order from what I said. See again though, Londoff, he's going to have to go around the outside. He's close enough this time. Now Ethan's going to be wise. Let's see, does he pull up ever so slightly, trying to, yeah, we can see he's trying to crowd him as high as he can. Just trying to unsettle him, really. But here we go, the Mercedes. And he's finally, as he got ahead, I think he might just have the outside line. But Ethan, keeping the nose on the inside, he will not give this one without a fight. But here we go, Londoff right around the outside, Ethan almost straight into the rear of him. Tries to go around the outside, but Londoff into the lead of this race then. So, Mercedes leads this race, and could this be a fairy tale beginning for this driver?
We'll have to wait and see, of course. Obviously, this will be a fairy tale debut on this tier, of course, but we'll have to see. Obviously, Londoff 140.51, consistently in the 144s as well, with obviously Ethan having a bit of an off, and that's what's caused him to get a penalty right now as well. Other drivers that are doing well as well. We got Tinnis as well in 4th, 145.0, closely followed by Big Kid Daddy 2. Team championship is more important this season, so obviously it could be the last one. So you want your teammates to finish as high as possible. Vetri, on the other hand, he's around about a few seconds behind Big Kid Daddy, but you can still see him on the cameras. Slicker on his debut in Tier 1 is doing not too bad either, but I think he feels he could do a lot better than 10th, but to be honest, I thought someone went off them for a little bit.
Pren going very wide, drifting that Ferrari. He sort of did that in the introduction video as well, so Pren really wanting to step out on that Ferrari. Deciding to do a copycat almost exactly. Londoff, 5/10 gap or something, so he's opening that gap up a little bit, Jess.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Londoff wants to make sure that he's one of the best drivers here. He wasn't expecting to be up this high, but he's taking advantage of it right now. But obviously, with Ethan and Jasmine on the same amount of penalties, those two are fighting for position. And we could see a replica of what we've seen earlier in this race as well, but they won't be conserving a little bit much as well. So let's see if we can have another battle like this soon as well. No, Jasmine stays behind Ethan for now. Londoff, the gap is closing a little bit. We can see Zout go for a move. Pren's in the pits. I'm not sure if it's an early pit stop or if it's
early pit stop.
It is an early pit stop. Oh, okay.
Like any damage, so he's trying to get an undercut now. The issue is, Jess, if you're trying to do the undercut, everyone in this midfield from about 8th down, they're all in a tow of each other, so they're all just going to pull away. So that really, Brent's put himself in a strategy situation right now where he might get himself in a bit of hot bother later on. So let's see. Meanwhile, that's Zout going grass cutting that Mercedes. So mowing on from that one. Let's see what he can do. Slicker, like I said, 2-time AOR champion in the past. He's a good old horse as well. Chicano, also a champion as well. So these two very familiar drivers with winning races. So far down there in 9th and 10th position. The heat starting to rise though. However, top three still together. And not by too much though. Only about 5/10 of a gap between, well, 8/10 total between the top three, Jess. So it's not all over yet. And Ethan, an incredibly good exit through that corner. He really is trying to pile on the pressure right now.
Yeah, he is, but the one thing I must be worried about these drivers in this heat as well is the tyres as well. The tyres may get too hot very quickly, but you may want to warm up your tyres as well. But here goes Ethan's going to try and go for the inside by the looks of things, whilst obviously Londoff is holding the outside line again into turn 1. You can see Jasmine right behind, trying to cover for mistakes that any of those two's made, but I think Ethan doesn't want to go for it this time around. You can see the famous wheel as well on the circuit as well, which a lot of people recognise. And meanwhile, Vetro's got a penalty as well. I wonder where he got that from. Probably similar places to what other people. 3 seconds. Ooh. So he might have gotten 2 seconds or 2 seconds one time, 1 second another time, but we'll see. As Slicker now is 5/10 behind Zoot. And it's going to be confused because we have Davies out and we've got Zout 101, so or Zoot, or however you say his name. So it's going to be confusing, Evil, to distinguish the two. I thought having the same esports team is going to be confusing enough, but obviously not. Obviously not. We're going to have 2 people with the same names.
Indeed. Well, so far, gap's starting to open up. Always a possibility here at Daytona. However, look at the sun. It's starting to go down a little bit, of course. It is only about 15, 16 degrees on circuit, though. Very cold. It is the beginning of January this season, of course. Is starting. So, temperatures are cold. Circuit's going to be cold. Next week, of course, we're going to Bathurst. Now, that's in the middle of the summer, due to the fact, of course, it is in the southern hemisphere. It's about 58 degrees, roughly. So it's going to be a very warm affair down there. So really, it's going to be wet. And that's a bad exit that time there, as Londoff, horrible exit, the exit of that chicane. And here comes Ethan right around the outside. Let's see. Londoff will have the inside line. So it's all going to be about a drag race there. And Londoff trying to force Ethan all the way up high. Round the outside, let's see Porsche versus Mercedes versus Lamborghini, the attempt number 16. Let's see, Lamborghini just sitting back there. Mercedes just holding the line, but the Porsche, let's see, is he going to try and slip run down the inside? Desperation, not yet. Ethan just biding his time, waiting here to move. He knows right now, I think he knows if he gets through and try and get a gap, he might be in a good shot of this race. Jasmine almost running into the back of Ethan as well, so these drivers putting incredibly hard. Tinner's not too far back as well. In fact, going slightly quicker than these 3 drivers up the road. 44.7, 44.5 for Jasmine. Lamborghini's still alive in this race behind the Big Daddy. Vector dropping back now ever so slightly, unfortunately. But nonetheless, 6th place for the Dutchman. Incredibly good so far. Slicker still about 8 tenths off the back of Zout. And then a bit of a gap there down to Chicano. Every person. Darren Sinclair. Then we've got the Bentley of Davy Zout. And then Prent on the very out-conscious strategy. Trying to do a... almost like what they would have done for a few other drivers. Like Rosberg a few seasons ago. Trying to pit early. Try and get a massive undercut and then come back through later on. However, on a circuit like this, how much time will you gain around here? Especially without the toe. I don't think it's going to be too much. Again, though, good exit this time from Londoff.
Yeah, brilliant stuff this time. He's able to increase the gap a little bit more now to Ethan, and that's not going to be music to Ethan's ears right now, but Ethan wants to try and get his best result in the world, so I wonder if he's going to... I know he's a racer, he wants to go for moves, but he only goes for move when he feels like it, and he's going to feel like it for it right now. He's coming in for the undercut, as it seems, Evil, like Pren did, but a few laps later, which is, I think, to be honest, that's what I was expecting him to do. He was stuck in traffic behind Londoff. I'm surprised Jazzman hasn't done the same thing. It'll be interesting to see where the three end up when everyone has made their pit stops. But that means we can concentrate on the other battles in the midfield as well, with Slicker and obviously the other Mercedes in front as well. The only two Mercedes running as Londoff and obviously Zout 101. And then Pren, of course, in the Ferrari in last place at the moment. But he's still going to have a bit of fun. It's his return to Tier 1 after a season off. And where does Rotary come out? He's going to come out in 30th at the moment, but there's still people yet to pit. I've noticed that the pit crew are taking a long time around this circuit, so it's make or break with some of these guys. I wonder, I think he might have taken tyres as well, because I thought his tyres were around about 200 degrees or something like that before he pitted, so he must have took tyres as well as... No, he didn't take fuel. I think he must have took tyres as well. So
I thought it'd take tyre fuel jets. They don't need to take tyres in a 1 hour race, of course.
All right, yeah, good point.
Too warm. So, especially in the temperature here, of course, sun setting overhead. Now, Ethan, he's way ahead of Fred. He's only 38 seconds off the leaders. So that's good. Now, I'm wondering if these two are going to react to that, of course. They kind of have to, I imagine, react slightly. However, their tyres, if they've got good pace, I think Jazzman going to come in. No, they're going to stay out then. So these two are going to try and stay out as long as they can. Now, Ethan right now needs to try and find someone or close up to someone to get him nice toe. However, there really isn't anyone near him, as we've got someone off the road, I think, for down towards turn number 1, I think. No, it wasn't. So I just saw a red dot popping up there very wide off the circuit, but I think that was just my eyes deceiving me.
Yeah, probably.
Here comes Tinnis then, trying to cover off Ethan, so he's going to try and do the same strategy. Let's see where he comes out. 13 laps into this 35-lap race, and he's already coming exit the pit lane. He's done an incredible stop there. He's way ahead of Ethan.
Yep, so I think the cut on, well, the overcut on Ethan, or it wasn't really an overcut, it was just pitting a lap later than Ethan, has definitely worked right now, as obviously Tinnis is down in 10th and Ethan is down in 13th at the moment. So I'm going to be a bit worried for the likes of Londoff and Jazzman, who are going to be fighting for the win. They could be fighting for a podium here if Tinnis is that quick. I mean, obviously, Tinnis was faster than Jazzman and Londoff anyway, so I think he was concentrating on getting the best in-lap he can when he went in, before he went to the pit, and I think that's what helped him be ahead of Ethan. Now, obviously, you were talking about him being faster. Gap now 5 tenths between Jazzman and Londoff now. Londoff, I think, will stay out, but what about Jazzman? We'll have to wait and see as we're almost approaching lap 14 of this race. The danger is you may lose more time by staying out than not going into the pits, really. I don't think any of those two are going again.
Yep, Jazzman in.
Oh, Jazzman in, but Londoff staying out as you expect, of course. Londoff being the leader, having a bit of clean air in front of him, it's not going to affect him as much. But Jazzman, oh, it's a quick stop from Jazzman.
A bit of lag as well, and wondering if that might have been a penalty there, because that jump forwards very quickly there. He hasn't, so he's got very lucky with that one. Where's he going to come back out into the field though? Where's Tinnis? He's going to come out way behind there. So Jazzman's jumped everyone. What has happened there? So Jasmine's already exited the pit lane now. He's still got to negotiate this tight pit lane. He's going to have 2 cars very close to him, so this might not really go the best plan. That is Chicano. I think that's all. Jasmine's come out really awkward position there, right behind that Zout and Slicker. So that might not help Jasmine at all there. He's come out in the worst place ever, Chicano. But they've jumped. Tinner's jumped well up as well. Jasmine's jumped massively. He's some 10 seconds ahead of Ethan. We've 14 seconds ahead of Ethan. So what on earth has happened there? I mean, I'm certain maybe he saw something happened there because they've got a huge gap.
It was like a Formula 1 style pit stop for Jasmine, by the looks of things, because Ethan was taking fuel, I'm almost certain, because otherwise he wouldn't be there that long. Whereas Tinnis, I think, just stopped for the sake of stopping. Jasmine stopped for the sake of stopping. And Jasmine's getting ahead of these cars. So I think it was, because obviously I don't think you're meant to take fuel all the time. You could just go into the pits and that's it. And I think that's what Jasmine's done. He was happy with his fuel. He was happy with his tyres. He's confident that he can get all the fuel to the end as he tries to make a move past, I think it's Slicker. Yes, it is Slicker. Trying to get used to these abbreviations, guys, but we will get there. And yeah, I think that's why he was ahead, due to the fact that obviously Ethan took fuel, whereas Jasmine took nothing. He just went in, boom, went out again.
Very interesting indeed. We'll have a look. No, it's 75 litres. 68. So yeah, must have taken a bit of fuel. Lesser in the pit lane as well. They're just up the road. Miss Slicker having the battle of his life right now with Zout in the Mercedes, trying around the outside down towards T number 1. Won't be doing that round anytime soon. Get himself on the grass for good measure as well. Behind them, Tinnis, he's got a huge gap of the cars ahead of him right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Sinclair ahead of Rotary right now. Ethan's probably very mystified why he's so far down. I mean, right now his last lap time was 1:45.1. That puts him quicker than everyone ahead of him. I mean, Jasmine's last lap 59, of course he pitted. 44.7 for your race lead alone, the Mercedes AMG. A car we often see leading the race. Now, is this a potential win? Who knows? Later on this race, you've still got, 21 laps to go ahead of the drivers. But an alternative strategy for some. Veteran now running up in 3rd position in this race. Jasmine, Slicker, Zout, Chicano. Then we've got every person, Tinnis, and then we've got a bit of a gap down to Sinclair and Rotary. Race starting to come into this a little bit of a moment, just for a lot of action going on. And that's always fine in these races. A little bit of calm, a little bit of relaxation. For the drivers off the road, there goes Zout, going rather a bit too wide over the curbs and getting a little bit of that's a corner cut and a half. And he's giving those tyres a bit of the grass, a bit of a cut. Mowing the lawn, and that Mercedes, of course, has mowed the lawn before in different disciplines of motorsport, but now he's doing it in GT3 racing.
Yeah, I remember Valtteri Bottas in Austria getting a bit of grass to mow as well. So he's kind of doing a Valtteri Bottas style. But meanwhile, our race leader has just pitted. Yeah, Jasmine's leading the race. Londoff having a similar length pit stop to Jasmine. So maybe there might be a problem with Ethan earlier on why his stop was so long compared to the others. Because Londoff, I think, is going to be just on the back of these guys. He's jumped Tinnis as well, so Londoff and Jazz. So yeah, there was definitely a problem with Ethan, I'm sure. So look, because everybody else who they were ahead before the pit stops, obviously Ethan was. After the pit stops, Ethan's behind all of his rivals.
Yeah, that is very, very mystical indeed. Why everyone else has got something a pit stop, unless Ethan had a pit stop malfunction or had a bit of damage we don't know of. Of course, we can't tell, but that is very odd. Why he's jumped so far behind these guys, and why Jasmine puts himself in a position to win this race right now. He's had a Slicker, he's got Londoff there in 3rd. The sun's setting, of course. You can see the banking getting darker and darker as this race goes on. Well, Tinnis, he's going to move on Chicano, and these two are very familiar drivers. I think Chicano might back out of this one. Let's see. Yeah, he does do so. He doesn't want to battle. Let he knows right now. Tinnis, he's on a different strategy. He's a lot quicker. No one however, going off the road. No one's made a mistake. No one's in the wall. Big Daddy in the pit lane from the lead of this race. Is Vectra going to come in? No. Vectra is going to lead this race for a little bit then. So Vectra just get on with it. Just relax. Just have a bit of time up front. He's not there to race for, I think, really ever in GT3. On merit. Right now, of course, it's not by merit. In the background, you can see that is Davey Zout in the Bentley going past. Just in the background. In the foreground, though. The number 17. The orange and blue Porsche. Very prototypical, though. The orange on a Dutch driver. Jasmine, though, only 10 seconds behind. 1:45.2. Last lap time for Vectra. 1:48. He's taken, 3 seconds, almost a lap out of him. Oh, Londoff's off! Londoff's gone spinning around. Must be careful rejoining the circuit there. But Londoff, a big mistake there for him. He dropped himself right down the clutches, and now that is a critical mistake. Tinnis up now to a next second. But a small mistake. Looked like he got too much on the curb, too much on the power. Whatever it is, he's gone off the road. And that is going to cost him big time now. Lamborghini 1-2 here today now in Daytona.
Wow. I mean, maybe the pressure got to him for Londoff. He was leading for so long and then, boom, he spun. So maybe he needs to get less pressure and probably a penalty. He hasn't got a penalty, though. So I think he slowed down enough. But we've got Tinnis going for a move on the McLaren. And he's going to take a really interesting line here as well into the banking, of course. And we got Slicker right in front of them as well. So in a three-car battle, just like we seen with the top three earlier on. But this time is with Slicker and Tinnis. And obviously every person as well who's right in front of Tinnis. Every person having a good comeback. We got Vectra in the pits, making his one and only stop. And it's going to be three wide. Tinnis is going for a bold move into the final few corners. He may try for the middle at some point as well. Both of the other cars are trying to cover him off, which is very brave of them as well. As they're about to start the next lap, as Tinnis, drops off.
Yeah, Tinnis isn't going to be too happy about this. These two drivers, I don't know what, I mean, fair play there. They've got all right to battle there. It's side by side for turn one, but really, right now, these drivers should know that Tinnis is net second. He's trying to come through. He's on a different strategy. Oh, he's going down the inside. There we go. One. He might take two in the space of one corner almost. He almost does that. Puts the radio on there on the exit. That was every person. I think he slightly tossed back of Slicker. That Slicker not really giving any inch of space there. He's trying to hold that position as much as he can there. One way to the other goes Tinnis. He's trying to get through right now. These drivers know Jazzman is miles up the road right now. He's in a different postcode. He's 6 seconds up the road. And this is all just not going Tinnis' way right now.
It is definitely not. He's going to be in danger of losing a few more positions than that if he does not get the jump on Slicker. And Slicker's quite fast as well. He's an AOR champion. So, you know, maybe Tinnis was underestimating him a little bit. Yeah, he was in Tier 2 last season. I'm going to do better than him. But maybe he'll think better than that when, obviously, they battle more, of course. And Jazzman takes the lead, but here comes Tinnis. Actually gets the move done just before the corner. So well done to him.
Tinnis thrown on the outside. Meanwhile, behind them, look at these two battling again together there. And so SMM Rotary, after that intriguing stop, I'm not sure what was the issue there. Why he's got some 12 litres more. I mean, maybe let's see what Vectra's feels on. That might give things 64.59, so he's got 4 more litres. So maybe he did take a bit more fuel. We'll never know that situation, but we could see there, look, Rotary taking a much more conscious line. He's taking the inside, trying to get more speed. Londoff taking what is the normal NASCAR line, the line you would take if you're doing a NASCAR race. Taking the outside, trying and just carry the momentum through the corner. And now, in GT3 racing, normally you would take the inside line every single time. So Londoff, still a little bit to learn about this circuit, of course. Every person meanwhile, third position, battling away there with, that is Slicker, so he's got ahead of Slicker for this time being then. So, jumping ahead, the McLaren ahead of the Ferrari, the second Ferrari sitting behind, that is his teammate there of Chicano. So, Season 9 champion meets, I think, Season 11 champion, if I'm not too mistaken. Slicker trying to think down the inside, a little bit too optimistic there, I think, too far back as well. McLaren, though, doing relatively well so far. What is not net third, but still third position right now in this race. Top 2 on merit, though, 7.5 4 seconds, though. Tinner's behind the race leader Jazzman. Jazzman, with only, 16, 17 laps to go, on course for a victory here, Jazz.
Yeah, but don't forget that penalty. Tinnis will probably know about this penalty and will start to push even further to make sure we can get into that 2-second margin as well. And still people yet to pit. This could change everything right now. And some of these guys are not doing well. This could be their learning race, and then hopefully they'll do better in Bathurst next week. And here comes Slicker once again. He knows he's faster than every person, but he's going to have a lunge on the inside. So he's...
Yep, Chicano in. In the background, Jazz. Just got over, I believe. Yep, Chicano in the pit lane. Yep, so he is going for that stop. I'm wondering if what I was doing was a very late lunge. Slicker. Then on the brakes, McLaren just holding its line, though, a little bit wide. Good to see it, though. Good to see a McLaren right up there. I mean, although it's not where he expects to be, in the background you can see there's Big Kid Daddy getting hounded by these two, and Rotary there trying his move, trying his move down the inside. Whatever it is, it's not working right now. He's carrying only 3 more litres of fuel, so to be fair, it's not by much. So let's see if he can get through. But right now, that Mercedes on course for 3rd position. These drivers met 3rd and 4th. Vectro net 5th and potentially, depending on when these drivers all coming in, because he's only just coming through the left-hander. These guys are not too far up the road, so this could be a very good result right now for these drivers, isn't it, Jess? For especially Vetro, after what last season he called absolutely diabolical. He was embarrassed. He felt he wasn't good enough for Tier 1. Well, he's running in a position right now which is certainly above and far better than he was last season. There's almost into the wall there. Goes Londoff. He's going very well. He's trying to get through there. And let's see, is Ethan going to just sit back and wait for the time being? Yeah, he is, because he's half throttling. He doesn't want to be any part of it, because these two are going to collide if they're not too careful. Here we go. There we go. Almost does touch. They do touch. And around they go, and that was just inedible.
Yeah.
Inventable, might I say. The contact was made, and unfortunately, around he goes. He wouldn't have got any damage from that one. But that was rather just a bit silly there from Londoff. I'm not going to sit back and just say that, but it was really a bit of a do-or-die moment. Big Daddy was always going to close the door there, and he just pinched him on the exit. The slightest of contact. And Londoff, well, these drivers are new. They're going to have to learn as these races go on. But take risks sometimes, you know when to pick your battles. And that really, Jess, I'm afraid, wasn't one of those places you want to pick a battle right there, down the inside into the chicane.
Definitely not. But at least Ethan's still going, of course. But Londoff's going to try and go and move on Big Kid Daddy. And obviously he wasn't expecting to be this low after a very good qualifying. But it's not where you... Well, a really good qualifying from him, sorry. But not a very good middle part of the race. But it's not where you start, Evo. It's where you finish. You don't get points in qualifying. You get points in the race. So that is what Londoff's got to think about, of course. Improve on his race consistency. But after this, we still got 9 rounds to go, so he has time to refresh on what happened this race. And then someone's gone off. There's a Mercedes of Zout who's gone off. Has he hit the wall? That was a very weird shunt there. I don't know what happened. He might have hit the back of Chicano, but I'm not entirely sure. Oh,
what? Huh?
He was a bit bemused about that. It's like, what?
Wait. Oh. Okay, well, I'm calling that to lag there, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we call some lag. I have no idea what I just witnessed there, but that was very, very lag. Oh, he's gone off. What's he doing? Is he gone off? No, he's carrying back on. Come on, Zout. There we go. Back on the road. Well, Zout, he's got damage on the front of that car. He's got no brakes, it seems. Apparently on my screen, he's doing 400 kilometers an hour, so, that's not right. Meanwhile, Londoff is trying to still go around the outside of Big Kid Daddy. Let's see, around the outside down towards team number 1. Let's see, though. Big Kid Daddy, he knows what he's doing. Slicker's in the pit lane, meanwhile, as well. Big Kid Daddy holding the line. Oh, that was silly. That was very silly. That was not what you want to be doing. And is Big Kid Daddy caught it? I think he has.
He went too deep. He went too deep
on the brakes, locking himself up straight into the rear. He's making mistakes right now. He's cracking under pressure. He's almost spinning it as well. And Big Daniel, I don't think he'll be too impressed with that one. He's very lucky he didn't end up getting flown off the road there. That type of contact. And that would have done a little bit of damage, I imagine, to the front of that car and the rear of that Lamborghini. But pushing hard, pushing as best they can, costing them time as well. At 22:35 here today, and the sun setting in the background, the circuit cooling as we go, a bit wide there through the exit. Big Kid Daddy struggling a little bit now, I presume. Might be for that damage, Jess. You reckon that could have done some damage?
Yeah, I think so as well. The car definitely just doesn't feel like normal. It doesn't look like normal, as I was meant to say. And whilst this was happening, we had Slicker that's gone into the pits for his stop. He's now in 10th place on the circuit, back to where he was before. And now Zout is in the pit in last place. Again, a very long pit stop for him.
Yeah, he's got damage though, Jess. So,
yeah, he has got damage, yeah. That's probably why then.
Now it's the Zout cousins down there in last and second to last now, so that's not what confused me. Well, big Zout and small Zout, as we call. Well, we can't really call the Mercedes a small car, but compared to that Bentley, it's tiny. So big boy and slightly smaller big boy. I mean, if we want to go talk about small cars, you have to look at the likes of the Ginetto, which raced last season with Scold and his teammate Essa. I mean, while Londorf's still trying to get that position through, still trying different moves. As that is on the exit. That's Zout coming out the pit then into the wall there. He should be slowing down there. Has he got damage again, I'm wondering? He's just getting out the way, I think, of everyone. He is. Be careful there. He's cruising on the exit of the pit then. He got damage. I'm not quite sure why he's going very slowly. Or is that potentially, as he goes off the road, I'm not sure what Zout's doing there. He's trying to get out of the way. Whatever it is, he's got some sort of issue. Unfortunately for him, he's back up to speed finally, so whatever it is, maybe he's just trying to get out of the way. He's just being nice. But getting out of the way, doing his best. Meanwhile, Londorf still stuck behind Big Kid Daddy right now. He's holding his position right now, BKD. Really right now, the most experienced driver in this season since our good old friend Cole McFogarty. The old timer he's gone off to EC. See?
He's in the chat though.
Maybe we'll see him again.
He's in the chat though, supporting the drivers, so he's not gone forever. So, which is good to see, of course. And welcome to everyone that's still in the chat, of course. With almost 10 laps to go of this race, and Londorf and Big Kid Daddy still fighting. And I've called Big Kid Daddy Mr. Consistent for most of the time I've commentated him, and he wants to be that this season. And he was very unlucky in Formula Rookie when he was ill on the last race, which stopped him from taking the title due to his mistakes. But hopefully he won't experience that in a hurry, obviously, today, as Big Kid Daddy's going to try and go round into turn one. I think he's going to get the move on Londorf, but Londorf's going to try and cover him. No, he does not. Big Kid Daddy is ahead.
Oh, he was ahead originally, Jess, so Londorf trying to come through instead, but I get your point. Either way, he just holds that position for the time being. Big Kid Daddy, though, he's always a man on the move. He's a consistent driver. He's not in net fourth. I think he's around about 8th position right now. Slicker, meanwhile, he's got, that's Darren Sinclair was up the road, and the Audi, the only Audi in the tier right now, the number 1 Audi, the Audi Sport livery. The beautiful livery indeed. Well, let's have a look at your penalties, by the way. 2 for 4 there for both Smith Rotary and Vectro. 1 second for Slicker, and I think that's all of the penalties. So, not too many penalties today. They're all keeping each other relatively nice and cautious. 1 driver out of this race, I'm seeing. And I'm wondering, that's the Mercedes. That's Davey Zout taking off. Is that the other? That's the other Zout who's out of this race. So,
yep, it's the other
1
Zout.
Zout out. 1's out, causing a bit of carnage down there at the back of the circuit. Up front, meanwhile, Jazzman, he's having a nice Sunday afternoon stroll. Out there, enjoying the sunshine, having an ice cream maybe in the cockpit. I don't know what he normally does if he likes ice cream. I like ice cream. I hope everyone else has been keeping hydrated in ice cream. Jess, do you like ice cream?
I like a bit of ice cream. My favourite strawberry. What's yours?
I think it's strawberry as well. Ironic. Strawberry ice cream always the best.
That's why we're in the com box together, because we like strawberry ice cream.
I don't think that's the only reason. The chat, well, your favourite ice cream. Not a lot of action going on right now. Oh, we talk about action. There's contact there down towards the first corner. And that is Londorf sending it round the outside. Contact, he's got through it, finally. Bit of contact, flashing lights, whatever that was, Biggie Daddy is not impressed.
Nope, he is not. That is pushing him down to 5th again, and I think there'll be a few words on Londorf's mind right now, thinking what could have been for him. He was leading this race, and now he's down in 5th, no 4th place, and he's got a penalty as well. So Biggie Daddy having no penalty, neither guy not to take a penalty. Oh, again, that was close again from Londorf and BKD, of course, but you know, this is something that Londorf has got to get used to. I think Biggie Daddy must be getting a little worried as Londorf is making a few too many mistakes, but we can see the 2 Porsche teammates of Rotary and Vetro not too far behind. So hopefully these two will not make mistakes, otherwise these two can even lose even more positions. But we'll see the order pretty much change for some of these guys if they're not careful. We're on pretty much almost at lap 26 now, with 10 or 9 laps to go, and it's said to be Jasmine winning the race by about 6 seconds, because obviously with that 2-second time penalty. But luckily that penalty is, I think, forgotten about now. I think he can just concentrate on running his own race now.
Indeed he can. Meanwhile, Slicker and Chicano so far 10th and 11th, both of them teammates, both former champions in their outright. They are closing up. I believe that is the Audi just ahead of it. It is. So these 3 drivers not too far ahead. Darren Sinclair doing an impressive job right now. We're still waiting, by the way, for Biggie Daddy to come in the pit lane, as Londorf getting himself all out of shape in turn number 1. He's really want to be careful he doesn't get dived around the outside or the inside right now. He's getting rather under pressure right. He's getting pressed. He's made a mistake, and this is Biggie Daddy's opportunity to come back through then. So Biggie Daddy right now doesn't really want to be battling Londorf. He's in a different strategy, but fair play. He's battling with him. Londorf really cracking under pressure right now, and he's getting hounded and pounded right now by the ever-consistent maestro, as Darren Sinclair's come in the pit lane then. So I thought they were battling. Well, they're not now, because they've all come in the pit lane. So never mind that one. Ethan not too far back as well. He's only about 2 seconds behind. Vetro only a few seconds back as well. He's getting caught by S. The last lap was about a 10th of a second between them. Always just got to look towards it though. Londorf really cracking under quite a few mistakes this race.
Yeah, he is. I won't be surprised if he's got more penalties compared to his rivals, but we'll see as we go to the end of the race. I think Ethan and Retro gaining 2 more seconds of penalties, probably due to Ethan's off earlier, by the looks of things.
Yep. So earlier on they.
So I know Ethan had 2 seconds earlier, but I didn't know where he got the other 2 seconds from. But it was probably due to enough. But Big Kid Daddy, the only one not to get a penalty out of the chasing pair, so he's going to be, I think, playing it safe at the moment, because he knows that Londorf is still learning the ropes in Tier 1. And sometimes it's like Verstappen, like in the first few seasons of F1, he started off with being a little bit too aggressive, but he's now starting to be a bit more, actually very mature actually for his age, and maybe that's where Londorf will become. But it does take time, and maybe it's a learning season for him, but we'll see. But I was surprised to see him as a dark horse, but he will potentially be a dark horse. But Chicano is in 10th place, chasing down Slicker. 2 rivals in Tier 2, looking to be ahead of each other. Chicano being the one behind at the moment, going into one of my favourite corners on the circuit, and one of the best overtaking opportunities. As Chicano's going to take the right-hand line there, but he's not. Slicker covers him off there. Oh,
never mind. Well, you said it. He covered, but he hasn't covered it, Jess. He's gone right. Oh,
commentator's curse.
Rest of the season, we'll note it down. 1 curse so far. Well, always good to see. Poor Slicker. Put under pressure by his own teammate and spun. And now he's got... Well, was that his team? I don't really know, really, to be fair.
Wait, give me a second.
No, it's not his team. That's a 63 Ferrari. Oh, dear, he's almost gone off the road.
No, Chicano and Slicker teammates.
Yeah, so I thought for a second that Pren was his teammate. No, that's the other Ferrari. Many Ferraris today. 3 of them. They're all together in a big row. Good to see them, though. I do love the Ferrari. It's my favourite, well, second favourite looking car. My most favourite right now. Where is he sitting? I can't remember where he's sitting. Where is he?
Who are you talking about?
Where's the McLaren gone? Where's he gone?
Every person.
There he is.
Third place. Oh, he's doing well in third place. Has he pitted?
Stop. No, he hasn't pitted yet. So those two still yet to stop. They're closing, getting caught up. There's every person by London from Biggie Daddy. Biggie Daddy still also yet to stop in this motor race. Over somewhat 7 and a bit laps to go on this nice afternoon drive. A few mistakes, a few drivers making quite critical mistakes. However, nonetheless, a race full of attrition, a race full of lots of little storylines going through. But right now, the storyline is Status Crow up front. It's Jazzman who we thought maybe could be a champion. Is he going for He won Endurance League. He won Formula Renault, if I'm not too mistaken. Is he going to try and take yet another championship? 3 in pretty much succession right now, Jess. And he is a man on a mission this year.
He is. He wants to get the season off to a good start. And he is at the moment in first place. He wants to get more wins under his belt. He only got 1, I believe, in GT3 and last season. But I'm sure he's going to get more than that this season if he keeps up that pace. I think, Evil, Jazzman's found the car for this calendar.
Yeah, Lamborghini is his preferred car. He usually likes going in it, of course. He was going to go and team up, of course, originally with the Kaiser. But Kaiser, of course, decided at the last moment he didn't want to do it. So Jazzman is drafted in his former teammate, well, and now still current teammate, the ever reliable and one of my favourite drivers. I do love Tinnis, the old reliable, the man who's always up there, always pushing. These top two, though, almost imagine what it was, 23 seconds technically over what the net third position is. That is of Londoff, and then behind them a big gap down to Rotary, about 8 seconds. Vectro, then of course I think potentially for 5th position. The penalty, no, he's going to drop down behind Esselham, and maybe depends on where every person and maybe even Biggie Daddy comes out. They're still waiting for them to come in the pit lane, of course. No one else making any mistakes. We've only seen really one incident, Jess, in this race of major cause. That was the other Zout. The one we're not looking at right now. The
one who's out. Driver. The one who's out.
Zout, who is out. And meanwhile, Ferraris continue to battle on this circuit. Well, last time it was Chicano and Slicker, now it's Pren and Slicker. And it's like a family reunion right now at the Ferrari camp, because all together, they're like ants. They all just stick together, they soldier on. And, well, you can say what you want about the Ferraris. It's not the quickest around Daytona, but this season, just especially like to Bathurst, I think we could see a Ferrari right up the front there.
Yeah, definitely. Bathurst being very narrow as well. One of the hardest tracks on the calendar. You got to nail it with such precision, but we'll talk more about that next week as Pren is still going for the move there. And they're almost a lap down of not quite a lap down yet, but actually I'm really impressed that nobody's a lap down yet, which is great to see. As
indeed, well, they're coming through the International Horseshoe right now. That is where the leaders are. The two drivers behind that, Davey Zout and Darren Sinclair. Leia, your leader, by the way, just coming through the exit of the International Horseshoe down towards the banking through the left-hander. So everyone close together. Tennis in second. Every person so far in third. 5 and a bit laps to go, then 6 laps give or take. And then this race is over, and then we've got a little bit of a break, and then some interviews, I believe. I think, Jess, you sorted it all out in the end.
Not this week. I will sort it out for next week, because I forgot to write the post.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Never mind. Up front, around the outside. He's going to try around the outside at least. Is he there or thereabout? Well, he's still trying around the outside. Thinks better of it, has to back off. 1, 2, 3 Ferraris all the same shot. Lovely to see. Not a lot of action going on right now, Jess, and it's starting to go into this little situation where not much going on. Bigger Daddy's still keeping up with Londoff, however.
Yeah, that is good. We've got to keep an eye on those two still yet to pit. They have to pit a few laps before the end, otherwise they will get disqualified from the race, which you don't want to happen. especially if you're Big Kid Daddy. So he needs to get a move on. But you'll have less fuel when he pits. So maybe that's a good thing for now. So maybe he could just go in and then come out again, just like Jazzman did. And that's what helped Jazzman in this race so far compared to his rivals. And maybe it may do the same for Big Kid Daddy as well. Where is Big Kid Daddy going to be ahead of all of this? We'll have to find out. Is he going to go to the pit now?
No. Stays out. These two. Well, you'll know where they come in. But Big Kid Daddy's even going quicker right now. And the car ahead. He's 44. 44.8 there and a 46.0. These two are going to be right on every person in a moment if they're not too careful. This could be quite interesting. It depends on when these drivers stop. Londoff really struggling, it looks like, in terms of just pulling away. You'd imagine that Mercedes would be way up the road, but the Lamborghinis today, we've seen it by the leaders, how much they're just pulling away. They are just holding the line, they're holding the fort. And you can say what you want about the Mercedes. It dominated last season by quite a comfortable margin, but this season, only two of them, they are not doing the best job right now. One's out and one's only in fourth.
Yeah, exactly. And team championship is ever more important. It's not just the drivers. That's why Boyer Axer and Gaza worked so well together last season due to their consistent results. And these guys need to live up. Well, these guys need to show that people can work together as a team. And obviously Tinnis, it's going to be a Jazz Tinnis Racing 1-2. They're going to be topping everything. They're going to be topping the drivers and they're going to be topping the constructors. Maximum points here today for both of them. I'm sure both of those drivers will be delighted. Esser in 8th. That is pretty good for him in 8th place. He's not doing too bad. He's not near the bottom.
He's 7th, technically, Jess, because remember Jess has got a penalty. Vector's got a penalty. Well, they're both beginning with J.
I'm not racing.
No, because if you're racing and commentating, that'd be interesting. I've done that before. It's quite fun, actually. Every person in the pit, they mean, well, from what was that third position. Now, let's see, he's going to come out. He'll come out way behind Vector and all that. So around about about Chicano, I reckon. It depends on how quick this stop is.
We'll see. Here he goes. As I think it's going to be a slash and dash, unless it's going to be... Oh, it might be a longer pit stop, actually. Nope, it's not. It's a swift pit stop from every person, so he'll be a bit of relieved about that. So, where is Esser on all of this? He's chasing down Vetro, and he's going to be ahead of Vetro due to penalties. Vetro having 4 seconds, don't forget. Esser on none. So, I don't think Esser would want to go for that move because maybe Esser doesn't know about the penalties. That's why he's trying to go for the move.
I don't know about the penalties, Jess. Vetro's still a bit too wide on the rear. Every person comes back out low. He's, 12 seconds behind, so it looks like unless Vetro gets a bigger penalty, he should be in safe for around about 7th position. Vicky Daddy also yet to come in, so this could be still about 6th position overall for Vetro. That's not too bad for the Dutchman. His first race in quite a while. Depends on what these two end up doing. We imagine Vicky Daddy's going to come in the movement. He won't be staying out for too long. He's just trying to pressurise Londoff right now. He's rather just cut the corner there. You'll get a penalty for that if he's not too careful. So, we'll just be careful. Actually, he's having a look at the penalties for Londoff. He's only got 2 right now, but he cut the chicane. He's jumped way ahead.
Yeah, that's really good for Big Kid Daddy. That he's jumped even again. So...
Yeah, well, we're waiting for Big Kid Daddy to come in, of course. Rotary, he's down there in 5th. Londoff, who's been in the stop earlier on, stayed ahead. Let's see what we can do later on this season. Rotary, well, he was expecting to be 5 up the front. I don't think he was expecting almost to win this race, potentially. So, I think net result, he'll still be happy with wherever he finishes. Esser, we've only got, 2-3 laps to go. He's still on that position for 7th place. I think Esser might maybe just sit back, just relax, just do yourself. Don't push too hard. You don't want to make a mistake, hit Vetro, and then end up losing the position behind. Vetro is struggling ever so slightly as well. Big Kid Daddy, meanwhile, still pressurising.
Yeah, which is great to see, of course. There's Londoff almost making a mistake yet again, trying to hold his line, of course, with a few laps to go. And this is where it's going to be nail-biting for these two drivers. They both want the position. And it's hard trying to defend at this time, really, because you really want to be on the attack, really, more than anything. Bad exit from Londoff, but great exit from Big Kid Daddy. As Big Kid Daddy gets ahead of Londoff. I wonder if London's going to try and get the cut back soon, or I wonder if he's going to try again on the next lap. We'll have to wait until that one. But Big Kid Daddy showing his worth, and obviously he needs to pit now, otherwise he'll get disqualified. So he needs one more lap. Okay, one more lap. That's one lap soon, later than I thought it was going to be. So that's good. Big Kid Daddy has. Hopefully he hasn't forgotten.
No, he won't forgotten. He's a veteran driver. He leads drivers. They know when they're going to come in. A pit mandatory window come up. So I imagine that's easy. He's going to come in this lap. He's going to come either way. Let's see. And we'll see if he darts quite left very suddenly. He'll come in. No, he's staying up for the time being. Let's see. Londoff switching one way to the other on the outside. Let's hope these two don't hit each other for all good sake. Let's know if they don't. Tries to break around the outside again. These two have collided nearly 2-3 times this race. And Londoff trying his hardest, trying whatever he can to try and get through. Go around the outside, then down towards the hairpin. Brave move around the outside there. Can't do it right about now. Just have to try and slot back for the time being. Get a good exit. Maybe try and down towards the International Horseshoe, but again, not to be.
Yep. As Jazzman's about to start the final lap pretty soon as well. 10 seconds is the gap, the margin at the moment between him and Tinnis right now. So I wonder if Jazzman is celebrating early with his champagne, but probably they won't be going out as much, obviously due to COVID-19. So maybe he's got some drinks lying about at home potentially as well. But yeah, the early battle we're going to see, boys, between Londoff and Big Kid Daddy. Everybody else is probably going to be at the positions they are now, most potentially. Apart from obviously Slicker and Pren too, potentially too. The gap's around about 2/10 now. And down Sinclair and Zout as well. So those are the three battles. Here comes down Sinclair with a good run.
Audi versus Bentley. Not too much of a fight there, Jess. Well, right behind them is a race leader. So let's hope these two don't end up taking each other out and then making a roadblock through Jazzman, who's just sitting right there. There he is. Just behind him. Let's hope. Oh dead.
God.
Wow. I mean, luckily they got out of the way of that one. That almost ended badly. I'll call that a curse. They just about got away with that one. Very weird spin for Davies out. He kept himself back going again. He's out at tennis. He'll get blue flags, of course, for that one. There's getting himself right in the way of tennis as well. Didn't mean to do that, of course, rejoining the circuit, but very lucky indeed. Top two together then. Londoff ahead of Big Kid Daddy, who, well, he must have come in the pit lane then, because he's on his last lap.
Yeah.
So, unless I've missed something, I'm pretty certain he hadn't stopped. Well, either way, he is in 4th position and without a penalty, so Big Kid Daddy on course for a podium.
Yeah, this could be very, very exciting, potentially as well. I mean, he is on course for his first best result of the season. Obviously, there's only one race so far, but if he gets his season to a good start, that's really going to help him. Londoff going a bit too deep, and yeah, that is a podium for him. But Londoff getting a better run here. This could be a drag run to the line pretty soon as well. And penalties, don't forget. Londoff with a 2 seconds, so Big Kid Daddy's going to be ahead anyway. Big Kid Daddy lets Londoff through, but he just wants the glory as well, going to the bus stop. And Jazzman's going to win the race in his first win of the season, getting his season to a really great start. And he's leading the championship along with his teammate Tinnis, who's leading the team's championship as well. Brilliant result from both of them. Who's going to get the podium, though? It's most likely going to be Big Kid Daddy.
Yeah.
So,
Big Kid Daddy, here we go then. First podium in a long time. Lamborghini 1, 2, 3. I don't know where this one came from. He was nowhere just earlier on. Now he's on a podium. Big Kid Daddy then across the line. 3rd position. I have no idea where that came from because I swear he didn't stop. Maybe he did. Maybe I'm just blind today. Meanwhile, Rotary is going to come home in 5th position. Very lonely 5th. He might just about get 5th, actually. He might even get 6th, actually. He can even go... Esther's really close up behind him. Is he going to get him? No, he doesn't. Vetro goes flying across into the barrier across the line. That's horrible. Oh, dear. Well, Esther, how far off was he from Ethan? That's the question. I think it was a couple of thousand, about 2-3 temps potentially. I'm not too sure. We'll have a look at the best times overall, but very close. But Rotary, Esther, Vetro, who's doing some donuts. He's going to be happy with that despite 7th. Meanwhile, the Ferrari train's going to cross the line, all in a big road. Chicano just about ahead of his teammate Slicker, who's going to be right on the outside. 1, 2, 3 Ferraris all across the line in tandem.
And it's not a bad race to start the season, of course, with Jazzman taking the win. And we'll see who gets fastest lap, actually. I believe that is Londoff. Yeah, it is Londoff that gets the fastest lap. We got Jazzman, then Tinnis, Big Kid Daddy, Londoff, Ethan, Essa. He'll be happy with that. 6th place in his first race of the season. He will liking that one bit. Then we got Vetro and Sam. Every person in 8th. Chicano, then Bren, Slicker, Darren, Davies out. And then your only retiree from this race, Zout 101, who retired on lap 21 due to damage. And we can't wait to have all 16 drivers on the grid. Obviously, Archil and Overtaker couldn't make it tonight, but I wonder where they're going to slot in all of this. But after seeing what every person could do, maybe Archil won't feel as bad being in the McLaren.
Well, I mean, just want to bring your attention, Jess, because of that penalty Ethan got. Essa only just about lost out by some 12 thousandths of a second, I think, if I take about 14 thousandths of a second. Incredibly close between those two drivers. Now, I think we've got at least a interview, Jess, to do.
Okay, I think we could get at least one interview. It's not going to be someone from the top 3, but someone with mixed. Should we bring him in?
Yep, I'll bring him in. I'm dragging him in. Well, let's introduce ourselves to our man who could have won this race, because I've attempted to drag him in the box. Let's see, has it dragged him in? I think it has dragged him in. Our good old friend SMM Rotary. Good result from that. Almost could have been in a position to win that race earlier on, I thought. And then a very strange pit stop. Take us through your race.
It's a very, for how races go, I think it was a bit of a roller coaster, wasn't it? Just before we go over my race, can we just talk about just how amazing that race was? Like how just all the cars and the variety is absolutely amazing to see the variety and how close the racing was. But my race obviously stuck it on the front row, very, very close to Jazzman. I felt I could have got in a good enough lap, because my best laps were in the 42s. I feel like, that would have been a real, a real booster for me getting on the front, getting pole position. But unfortunately, I couldn't quite get that. And then obviously start, it was pretty good. Fighting Landoff and Jazzman for a bit. It was very close, very hard racing, but obviously, as racing goes in GT racing, I think it was on the limit, but it was really, really good racing. And then I realised that my engine damage started slowly creeping up, more so than it does in practice. And obviously, following other cars, not getting the air into the car, it was a real issue. But when I came into the pit lane, I actually had a clutch issue. I couldn't get the car going, so obviously I run a manual clutch. I couldn't get the car to go, so obviously if I didn't have the clutch in, the car would stall. So I had to unplug my wheelbase, all that, da-di-da-di-da. It took me about 12 seconds, which obviously really, really, really put me in a bad position. So from that point on, I was just in full send mode, going as fast as I can in Porsche. And then obviously crept up to Landoff and BKD towards the end of the race. And unfortunately, I kind of got caught up in their own little battle at the bus stop chicane. I don't know if you caught that or not. Yeah, I lifted off. In hindsight, I should have lifted off more. I felt like I was a good enough gap away from them that I could allow them to battle through the bus stop. But they obviously came and had a little bit of contact. They slowed down a lot, obviously, by which point I was right up the rear bumper of Landoff. And there was just nowhere to go. I just could not do anything. So, unfortunately, it could have been a lot more. I reckon there was a podium there, a win. I don't know, because Jazzman was very, very fast, as was Landoff. But I think I proved myself and that the car, it's a competitive combo. It's a car that I've driven before, that I felt comfortable with. And I really feel like I've extracted the potential already in the car. So it's only just about building on what I've done this race, and I've achieved my aim for this race, which was finish in the top 5. But a lot left to be desired, but you go with what you got and you just work on it, and that's what I'm going to be doing into Bathurst.
Indeed. Only 14,000 separated you and S across that line, by the way. Very close. You were very lucky. Vetro just held him up by a tiniest amount across the line. So I think you need to buy your teammate a nice drink later on. But of course,
he did really well.
Yeah, Vetro, incredibly well. You've got to be proud of your teammate. Only finishing, 3-4 seconds a little bit off of you. So, good to see.
Yeah, he did a really good race. I mean, if you look after season 15, you know, like the amount of struggles he had, and then in this race with I've got to say, the absolutely amazing conditions, you know, you could just push the car every lap. And I think, you know, I started to see the Vectra that I saw 4 years ago when I was racing him on Gran Turismo 6, back when I used to look up as him being faster than me. Of course, you know, as time progresses, things change, but, you know, Vectra really came alive this race, and, you know, it's great to see that, you know, you don't lose talent. It's just obviously depends on the environment. But yeah, shout out to Vectra, shout out to all the guys. It was an absolutely amazing race.
Indeed. Well, Jess, just to you, I mean, who do you think is going to be Big Dad?
Pardon, sorry, you cut off a bit.
Mic cutting off. Right, I was about to say, my driver of the day, Jess, as well. I think Big Daddy easily drive the day yet again.
I think so. And Big Daddy Mr. Consistent once again, and he's shown it. No penalties as well. I've got to say also Jazzman taking the win as well with the advantage he had. That penalty didn't matter to him. That 2 seconds, it could have been more than that. It could have been 4 seconds, and he could have still taken the victory. So I think it's joint between them two. But yeah, Big Daddy for the driver of the day.
Indeed. Well, Jess, I'll let you round off the stream then.
Oh, thank you, Evil. Thanks for watching the stream tonight. We hope you enjoy the first GT3 season back. We certainly did as commentators. Hope the drivers enjoyed it as well, and hope you enjoyed it as spectators. We'll be back same time next week for Bathurst, where it will be 12-hour progression in time, and it's a normal race like this week. So who's going to be on top? Then we'll have to find out. Will Jazzman remain on form? We'll have to find out. We will see you soon for some more GT3 action. Have a good evening, everybody. Good night.